The first philosopher in recorded history may have been Thales. Thales famously said, "All things are full of gods," by which he meant that everything contains life. Perhaps he came to this idea after observing the soil, the rich, dark earth, from which flowers, trees, and grass grew, teeming with insects and other living things. He saw that everything came from the soil and returned to it. From this, he concluded that everything is full of life. Viewed through the lens of modern science, we can see that Thales was not entirely wrong. Today, we know that microscopic life, such as bacteria and viruses, exists almost everywhere. Thales was what we might call a natural philosopher, a kind of early scientist. In fact, in the history of science, he is often regarded as the first scientist. Thales astonished his contemporaries in Miletus by predicting the first recorded solar eclipse. On the day he had forecasted, the sun behaved exactly as he said it would. He was also deeply interested in mathematics and measurement, conducting research that later proved correct. He was likely the first person, at least in recorded history, to divide a circle into two equal halves and explain that the line passing through the center is called the diameter. He went further. When he inscribed a triangle inside a circle, with one side as the diameter, he discovered that the angle opposite the diameter is always 90 degrees. He also showed that if two right triangles have one side of the same length, their areas will be equal. Thales developed a geometric principle, now known as Thales' theorem, that remains fundamental to trigonometry. It states that if two parallel lines are intersected by two other lines, creating points A, B, C, D, and E, then the ratios DE/BC, AE/AC, and AD/AB are all equal. This theorem even allowed Thales to measure the height of the pyramids in Egypt. He simply waited until the length of his shadow matched his own height, say 6 feet, and at that moment measured the shadow of the pyramid. The length of that shadow equaled the pyramid's height. Thales also pondered the nature of thought, action, and decision-making. He believed that anything capable of making its own decisions and moving on its own possessed a soul. By that logic, humans have souls as do animals. Remarkably, he extended this idea to magnets, believing they had souls because they could move iron without physical contact. He even thought amber had a soul because it could generate magnetism when rubbed. Perhaps Thales' most influential idea was that everything in the universe is made of one single substance, which simply appears in different forms. For Thales, that substance was water. From a modern standpoint, we might say he was 70% correct. After all, the human body is roughly 70% water. But he wasn't speaking only of humans. He believed that mountains, stones, animals, clouds, everything, were all different forms of water. The Greeks had long believed that earthquakes were caused by angry gods. Thales challenged this, suggesting instead that the earth itself, being made of water, floated on water. When the water beneath shifted and created great waves, earthquakes occurred. In this way, Thales laid the foundations not only of philosophy but also of science. His student Anaximander would carry on his work. Thales' belief that all matter comes from a single substance is known as monism. Those who followed his school of thought are still called monists. The debate between monism and dualism has continued through history, even into the time of Plato. Monism remains a major topic in modern science. For example, Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity can be seen as a monist theory, in which all matter in the universe is fundamentally the same. And with that, we move on to the next philosopher, Anaximander.